Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me once again. And today we have another classic Matchbox bit of armour review of the kit from their purple range. This is one of the early ones actually, and it's the Panzer III, the Ausf L. Now Panzer III was, you could say, the first proper, serious, good German tank of World War II, because the first Panzer I, Panzer II that they went across, the Low Countries and Holland and all these places, Poland, they didn't really have any opposition, to be honest, and they were supported by the Luftwaffe dive bombers and all that stuff, excuse me, in such a way that they were sort of unstoppable in terms of there was no serious army, air force or armour to take them on. But they were not tanks that were really suited for proper big tank battles. This is the first one that was, and this is a tank that actually ran throughout most of the war. I think it was introduced, introduced about 1940-41, and then ran through the whole war. So that when something runs through the whole war, like the Spitfire or the Messerschmitt 109 aircraft, it's a good design, because they think, yeah, this is good enough to just be evolved and improved. The basics are so sound, and this was the case here. So here we go then, let's have a little closer look. The artwork here depicts it in North Africa, but it's served all over the place. I mean, they had them in Russia, they had them in Normandy, they were in Italy, you name it, this served on every front in the Second World War. So, nice artwork from Oxley as usual. North African scene here, obviously something going on, and let's see what it says. It says, Panzer tanks of the 15th Armoured Division pressed forward an attack from the Sidi Rezia during the battle on the Western Desert in 1942. There we go. End of the box. This one is PK74, as we can see here. On the top of the box, as normal, we've got sort of a call out showing you the basic recommended painting guide. Now it's quite an interesting pattern. It's like Panzer grey, but it's got brown flecks in it as well. So this is obviously more of a European Russia looking scheme than the desert camo. On the other side of the box, as usual, we've got Matchbox trying to sell their wares, and who can blame them? And they're advertising the Panther tank, which we might see later, the Humber armoured car, which we might see later, the Comet, which I think we saw already, and the Sherman, which I think we saw already. So some of their classics there, four absolute beauties. And then on the reverse, and by the way, this box is not a mint box, it's a little bit creased here at the front, and a little bit, but I have got a nicer one, but it's a later one. I didn't want to show that because they're just not as good, and I like to show the original version. So this is the original 1973 box. Ignored the bag here because that's just somebody that bought it off has protected it with a bag to stop them rattling around in the box, I think. And of course, typical for Matchbox in the era, they show the finished model tank unpainted as it actually looks once you've painted once you've actually put the decals on and you've completed the model. No painting is necessary, complete with its nice diorama. I've got to be frank, this is not one of their better dioramas. It's got the head of the cattle skeleton, which is good, but the rest of it I think is a bit characterless. It's not one of the better ones in that respect. They could have done a bit more. But anyway, let's have a look what's inside the box. I'll say it's in a bag. So, somebody's certainly thought it through, wanted to protect it, which is nice. I think I bought a load of these actually on eBay, and I think it was a lady whose husband had sadly passed away, and I think it was him that put them in the bags. He was thinking ahead. Well, I was a bit sniffy about the diorama, but now I've got it in my hand, it looks a lot better. Let's have a look at that later. Let's see what we got. So, 1973, genuine original. Here we go. We've got a nice, quite dark purple actually, unusually dark. Perhaps their ink was fresh. Here we've got the decals, which have just fallen out, as they always do. Let's see what we got here then. Quite simple decals, of course, as they often are. Got the protective sheet on it, and there we go. Panzer Ausf L. So you basically got North Africa option or Eastern Front. Pop that to one side, and if we look at the back of the instructions, we've got 15th Panzer Division, which is clearly, it doesn't say actually, oh yeah, that's North Africa, and then it's got the 10th Panzer Division, which is obviously in Russia. It's on the Eastern Front. Doesn't give you a lot of history there, to be honest. I mean, this is just the call out for the decals as normal, and I say the beauty of this kit, it doesn't have too many, thankfully. Now then, it says here the Panzer was first introduced in 1939, saw action in small numbers during the invasion of Poland. First introduced in 1942, the Ausf version that we have here carried a 50mm main gun, for which storage was provided for 78 rounds of ammo. They made 1,900 of these, and it saw extensive action in Europe, the Western Desert and the Russian front, especially in the Western Desert. It gained a reputation for being a highly effective vehicle, and it shaped the development plans of the Allied tank builders. Yeah, it shaped them enough, didn't it? I mean, the Americans came up with the Lee Grant, which was a bit of a strange choice, but anyway, the one with 2 guns, yeah. Anyway, here we have the, I'm not taking the mickey out of the Americans or the Lee Grant, it was a good tank, it was just a bit of a strange design. 15th Panzer Division, this is the Russia scheme, and it's saying, sorry, North African scheme, desert yellow of course, and then it's just telling you to basically paint the wheels, really, that's it. And the machine gun, that's all they're recommending, not much to it. So, into the instructions, you build up your hull, and it's the typical sort of wall and floor style. Then you are creating your idle main rollers, main wheels and idler wheels, drive sprocket as well, number 5. Rubber band tracks, and then you're popping all these in the usual conventional way, plus the return tensioning rolls at the top. So the actual look of the design of the wheels is very similar to the Panzer II, but just much bigger drive sprockets and idler sprockets. Then you're building up your main turret with the stowage box on the back, the 78 rounds it mentions. Nice turret hatch with a cupola and a hatch on the top. Spare track on the side, and then you put your gun into its mantlet, glasses cover, and off you go. And then it's telling you to put your oxen skull into the desert. And then finally, obviously that's the diorama, and then finally we've got the turret going on. A couple of spare wheels are going onto the side, front glasses with the machine gun going in there, and that all gets mounted to the top of the hull. Pop your swivelling turret through, and there's a retention washer underneath that that's the only part you glue on, just at its tip, and that goes into the main hull like so, and then you pop it onto the diorama, which it doesn't show, again, rather oddly, so it's sort of back to front, wasn't it? Okay, let's have a look at the parts. So we've got some rubber bands. Don't really care for these, but at least the quality of these is a little bit better. I think that they look straight and decent and fairly true. Yeah, I know there's a little dip supposed to be folded, I think, in production, but no, I think they'll get together okay, won't give you any problems. And they look reasonably scale-like, not bad. Then we have got the main parts. So, big sprue here, well, big relatively. So we've got the turret and the base for it. Let's have a look at this turret. It's quite reasonably detailed, isn't it? It's not too bad. Yeah, it's okay. And you've got the sides here for the sort of pontoons into which all the wheels go. Idler return rails at the top and the main ones at the bottom. And then we've got turret components. So you've got the gun itself here, and it mounts into this piece here for the turret mounting glasses. Here we have the outer, the outer sort of mantlet. We've got the mantlet cover here, and the gun pops through that hole, obviously. Then we've got the sort of glasses plate for the front for the driver and the machine gunner here. You can see that's a step forward from the Mark II, which we saw previously, which got no machine gun lower down. This one has a machine gun at the top as well, I think it has 2. And then we've got the stowage box that goes on the back of the turret there. And then we come to, the top of the hull, the most interesting part really. And you can see that A little bit softly moulded, but there's some good details in here. You've got tow cables moulded in there. Looks quite nice. And again, you've got this sort of grippy grip plate style, bit like the Mark II did. It's like a grip walkway almost style on the top, right across the mudguard, so that soldiers can jump up and walk across it. And there's all sorts of tools moulded in here. You've got looks like cutters and some sort of like trenching tool. It's a track adjustment tool, I think, and pieces of I think it's gun cleaning rods there. Quite impressive, quite impressive. The front of it's good as well. You can see the hatch for the machine gunner hatch and the driver hatch here. Looks good. And that just leaves us with the second one, which has got the desert diorama, if you can call it that. But it is actually nicely moulded again, beautifully moulded. It's just not very imaginative, that's all. They could have added a bit more to it, I think. Maybe a little oasis or something, but all you get is a dead cow, really. And there, I'm sorry, we missed the dead cow, didn't we? Let me just go back to the other one. Sorry, we missed the dead cow. Here he is. See if we can get him in. There we are. That's the skull of the dead cow. He's got one of his antlers missing. So maybe he was hit by shell fire. Very unfortunate. Don't think about that. Right. So, back to this sprue. And it's just really wheels and rolls, and God, there's quite a lot of them, isn't there? It's numerous is the word. Yeah, there's quite a lot of them. We've got these bigger drive sprocket wheels, a bit more meaty looking. You can see how it's heading towards the Tiger style there that comes later. And the return idler wheels are big as well. And then you've got the inner wheels. These are inner wheels here, and these are the outer wheels here. And then you've got your these are return wheels, tensioning rolls at the top, and that's the back of the drive sprocket. So that's it, really. All in all, very nice. I think that the I just want to zoom in on this because I've been a bit negative about this, but actually the moulding is lovely. It does look like sand. You can make that with a nice spray job look just so much like dunes, you know. It's like being on holiday almost. Well, without the war going on in the background, of course. I prefer not to have a global conflict when you're having a beach holiday, really. Anyway, it's interesting because you can actually see, compared to my other review on the Mark II, Panzer II, how the tank is beefier. It's got more armour, bigger gun, bigger wheels, and a lot more beefy and a bit more up to the job, really. Anyway, so that's the Panzer III Ausf L variant. A nice kit, I've got to say. It's a classic, and everybody will remember this this artwork, and remember the diorama. And I'd give that, yeah, another 8 out of 10, really. I think that's probably fair, and can't see any problems. Absolutely nothing not to like, really. So there we go, thumbs up. Hope you give me a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe, and please tune in again and ding the notification bell so you get reminders about my next videos. We will have some more. We'll have some more armour, some more aircraft, lots more interesting stuff from Matchbox. Walking down memory lane, hopefully bringing back some good memories. So I hope to see you again in the very near future, very soon. In the meantime, thanks very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.